Hi guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through my AFL Fantasy Rookie Midfielder Edition and going through who I think will be best to put into especially those last couple positions on the midfield side and also onto the bench, as we've had a couple of confirmed debutants in Oliver Holland, and I'm pretty sure we can all but confirm at least Ashcroft and Phillips into the round one side, so they should be in your sides. So before we get onto it, remember to like and subscribe, as it's crucial for this channel to grow, even if it's just giving this video a view and watching it through, as that helps the channel to grow, and then we'll go from there, and I'll see what content you guys want once we get to the start of the AFL season, as it's pretty locked what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the preseason, the rest of the last couple of days, and then we'll get into that. So if I move over now to this screen, I've got obviously this, and we'll go down to 290k, and then we'll start with the midfielders. So Ashcroft is the most expensive rookie, and he's owned by 64% of the comp because he's going to be a star, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes 70 or 80 and we trade him late, near enough around the bye, as he's going to be a pretty good player to have in your side. So for him to be at that price, it's pretty much a steal at that price. Then the next most expensive is Wardlaw at 294k, and I think he's going to be not the best option. I don't know if he even plays round one. I believe he might be injured, which is not the best, and that's why he's only got 6% owned, as I just think it's probably better to have Ollie Holland, who's 14k cheaper and is confirmed to be round one debutant. So the next up, Turnstile, played last year, don't think he's an option. Sardis, I don't know if he's injured or not, but if he does get named, I think his ownership will spike up a little bit, but I don't think he will, as I think you can save a little bit on the lower pricer rookies in the likes of Ollie Hollands, as he did have an alright practice game, whereas I don't think Sardis did have that good. McRae's injured, I believe. Humphrey could be a good guy, but we'll talk about him in the forward edition. And then you have the likes of Cam McKenzie at 46% owned, and that is because I believe he will play round one. He's not confirmed yet because I think Sam Mitchell is keeping his cards close to his chest, but I think we will see Cam McKenzie debut round one in a more of a, I think he will be that inside mid or fourth mid in the rotation, in the inside rotation, but I think you will see him play wing and inside mid, which will be good enough numbers no matter the split that he has to put up a good total, and that's why he should be a good option at 288k. So then Clark might play, but I doubt he will. I think he's going to be one of the later ones to play, and I think that's why his ownership is at 2.13%. I think we could see him, obviously, like I said, later. I think there's just Bowes and Duncan ahead of him, as well as the Dangerfield and others that were in last year's side. So for me, he's a no-go at the moment, but we'll see if he does get named. Corey Wagner, we talked about in the defence. Bendendo, last year's guy, so I don't think we can, he's not going to do much. Jasper Fletcher, I think, just doesn't get in early. I think it's an Ashcroft will be the one that debuts. I don't think, as shown by a 0.69%, he might even be injured. I'm not 100% sure, but you got to look at that. So he's not going to be there, I don't think, round one, which means you shouldn't really own him, as he'll just be a red dot, and 278k for a red dot is just not good enough. Elijah Hewitt could be there round one. He's one that I think we'll have to see on Thursday night whether he is. But 274k, if he isn't, that ownership will drop from 4% down to like 1 or so. And if he is there, I think it will spike up by 4 or 5%. I don't know if I will necessarily go for him, as I think I like Philippou more than Elijah Hewitt. Then next up we have Harry Ralston. Don't think he plays, as shown by low ownership. Next up after that you have Edward Allen. Don't think he plays as well. And then have we talked about Will Phillips? We'll talk about the guys that I have here. Will Phillips, he might not necessarily a rookie, but he's rookie priced, so, and didn't play last year, and he has that inside mid role on North Melbourne, so even if he just averages 55-60, which I don't expect him to do, I think he'll go to potentially even 70-75, maybe even pushing 80, and that'll be enough for the M8 role, and he will be one of the, it's between him or Cam Mackenzie is one of those early on-field upgrades, as well as a couple on the bench here. I mean, a couple of defenders that could go up early. Who have we got next? No one really excites me here. If we look at ownership, you have Sinacotta, who we talked about in the defenders. Sardis, who we'll talk about, Sitsas, I should say, we'll talk about in the forwards. Johnson could be on for round 1, but I don't think he will play round 1. If he does play round 1, then it'll just be a swap out for my utility and Roberts. As, let's see, what's he at? He's at 15% owned. He could play round 1, but I doubt he will. I think he'll be on the bench or an emergency for round 1. But Roberts did look good in preseason. Joshua Sin, I think he's battling injuries, and we'll just have to see with him, but I'll go into more with him in the forward one. Humphrey forward, Wardlaw we talked about, Sheldrick I'll talk about in the forwards, Sardis we already talked about, Ned Long talk about in the forwards, Drury talk about in the forwards, and there's no one really here that I expect to really debut from looking at this that I have to talk about on the midfield side of it. Then we come to Ollie Hollands, who is confirmed as of recording that he will play. So 280k, I think he's pretty much a must, as he's a little bit cheaper than some of the other. There's a couple of other mids that are a little bit more expensive than him, but he's cheaper than those guys, and I think he'll give good output in the Carlton side, and he'll be one that we can drop down to into another rookie later on, like pretty early. I think he gets 3 or 4 games, and then we'll see if he really does put an output, then he probably stays, but if he isn't putting up good output, then he goes, and we see other people come in, I guess. So that's Ollie Hollands. Then we have Philippou, who I think some people have him on ground. He's very high ownership. I think probably half of those have him on ground. I just can't have him on ground at the moment, just due to he's going to be one of those guys that I think him and Shees will probably average the same, but I think Philippou probably averages or does, how do I put this? He's probably going to have bigger highs and like lower almost lows than Sheasel. I think Sheasel probably evens it out, and that's why I have Philippou on the bench and Sheasel right now on the forward line. But as I look into who plays first and stuff like that, they will probably swap around, etc. And that's where you'll get the fluctuations, I guess, as Philippou can swap with Davey at the moment, and that's how I'll get Sheasel off the field if he's playing a hard team. Who's he play round 1? He plays the West Coast Eagles, whereas the Philippou plays the Freo, so I think West Coast Eagles will be a better point score, so that's why Sheasel I think will stay on ground for me at the moment. And the only thing that will probably change that is if when I look into it further, I see that say Philippou plays first or something. I don't know off the top of my head if that's the case, or Sheasel plays first, and then I can shift him off ground and look at his score, play him as an emergency, and look at his score and see if that's good enough, and then play a red dot or something. But that would be pretty counterintuitive in round 1 to play a red dot. And I think my red dot will be reserved for my ruckman, as we don't know who's going to play ruck-wise, and that could be a captaincy loophole, I guess. So that's the if I switch back again, that's my AFL Rookies Midfielder Edition video there and then, and I'll try and get the other ones out pretty quickly, even though I'm pretty time-strapped at the moment, and then we'll go from there as the AFL season approaches. So before we go, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another video. Thanks, guys. Goodbye.